The theory that aliens from another world may have assisted in the building the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt might explain how some of the most amazing and mysterious engineering feats in human history were accomplished. Moving massive stone blocks and assembling them into something so colossal and precise seems like insurmountable task even today. How did people manage it so many thousands of years ago without the use of modern construction techniques? Logically, it appears that ancient Egyptians must have known something or someone that we don't. Some say only access to advanced technology would have allowed them to create stone structures, some with blocks weighing in the neighborhood of 70 tons with such perfect mathematical alignment. Then again, maybe we aren't giving them the respect they deserve. The ancient Egyptians were awfully smart, so maybe they could have well built their own darn pyramids without any help from extraterrestrials. But the fact is, the 7 wonders of the ancient world not only is the Great Pyramid of Giza, the only one still standing, but it was already almost 2,000 years old when other cultures began to build their own wonders. Were the Egyptians of antiquity really that much more advanced than everyone else way back then? While those who subscribe to ancient astronaut theory, like myself, have more reasons than the complexity of the pyramid design to think that aliens may have had a hand in ancient Egypt, is there evidence to conclude that visitors from another planet have been here thousands of years, guiding and influencing an advancement of mankind? Or are the ancients far more advanced than we realize? And has some important information been lost through the ages? Assuming the pyramids were built by human hands, how would this have been accomplished? Most of the blocks that comprise the Great Pyramid of Khufu are solid limestone and granite. The limestone blocks were likely taken from local sources, but the granite rocks, some over 70 tons, were hauled from a site over 500 miles away. Now, how the heck did a civilization that didn't use wheels move these things to the site? And when they got them there, how did they put them into place? Well, this is the subject that has been pondering the debate through the ages. But researchers now have some ideas how it could have happened. Most experts agree that ramps of some kind were used to get the blocks into position, but the configuration of those ramps remain unknown. Some think several long ramps from the ground to work the area were constructed and modified throughout the building. Others think that ramps would have been spiraled around the outside of the pyramid, and still others think that pyramids may have been built from the inside out. One ancient account suggests the blocks were lifted into place using some kind of fulcrum mechanism that allowed a team of workers to move them with really relative ease. Now, as for dragging the blocks along the ground, some speculate that either round timbers or some kind of lubricated slipway may have been used to make them easier to move. The Nile River was almost certainly used to transport the blocks great distances on barges. So looking at the methods above, any combination of those techniques as well as many still to be thought up could account for how many humans may have built the pyramids. It may not have been easy, and it may not have been fun, but with a whole lot of hard work, little gentle encouragement from the pharaohs, certainly it was possible. Because some of the things they left behind, we know the Sumerians revered gods they called the Anunnaki. And not only the Sumerians, apparently other cultures knew of these deities as well. These days, the Anunnaki are the center of a great deal of debate regarding ancient aliens and what exactly the ancient people knew. Much of this stems from the work of Zecharia Sitchin. Back in the 1970s, after interpreting and studying ancient Sumerian texts, Sitchin realized they have revealed stunning information about the origins of the human race. He then wrote a bunch of books where he put forward his theories. Sitchin believed in the Anunnaki originated from Nibiru, a rogue planet that takes thousands of years to orbit the sun. The Anunnaki came to Earth. They were a working class of aliens, sent here to mine gold to bring back to their home. According to Sitchin, they rebelled against poor working conditions. The decision was made to genetically modify prehistoric humans, by incorporating Anunnaki DNA and creating a new slave species. In the blink of an eye, Homo sapiens was born. That's us. As you can probably imagine, many have found issue with Stitchen's revelations and his interpretation of ancient text, but others have stood behind his work and found further evidence to support it. According to those who back ancient astronaut theory, evidence of alien visitation is all over the place. Religious texts, art, architecture of ancient worlds are packed with different references of extraterrestrial visitors from another world. Surely if aliens had been here before, they would have left evidence of their presence. Well, the proof may be in the pyramids themselves. It's easy to think of the pyramids only as giant block buildings, but in reality there are much more than that. Even more amazing than their construction is the hidden details of their structure. At first that might sound about right until you realize there are about 2.5 million blocks in the pyramid. Which means if crews worked 10 hours a day, a block had to be put in place every couple of minutes. That's not including moving the ramps around and other stuff that must have gone into the building. Look at it this way. It seems to me that a little help from extraterrestrial technology would have been welcome. The Great Pyramid of Khufu was built to very precise alignments. It's said that the pyramid is aligned to the true north to an accuracy of 3/60th of a degree. And at that time it was built, it was likely aligned exactly true north, as true north shifts over time. The Great Pyramid is the only pyramid with air shafts, and in ancient times those shafts have aligned with specific stars important to ancient Egyptian religion. Nobody knows for sure what these shafts were for, but theories include spiritual reasons, the use of a pyramid as an astronomical observatory, and even the idea that the Great Pyramid may have been some kind of alien power plant. The Great Pyramid appears four-sided, but actually it's eight-sided with four concave faces. Why? Some experts say that this is only structural design. It's important to remember that the face of the pyramid we see today was not its finished face, as the casing blocks that would have adored the surface have worn away or crumbled over time. Still, the Pyramid of Khufu is the only pyramid to feature this design. Why weren't other pyramids built this way? Some researchers speculate the design may have an astronomical function, and have come up with calculations over the years that correlate the 8 sides of the pyramid to important phases of the calendar year. According to theory, the entire layout of the pyramid region, the Nile River included, was intended to match the alignment of the Milky Way galaxy. But here's the kicker. When researchers look back at the constellations and how they would have appeared to early observers over centuries past, the age of the pyramid region appears to date back to around 10,500 BC. Could the pyramids, or at least the layout of the region, really be that old? And what kind of civilization could have configured this back at the time when most humans were still hunting mammoths? It's hard to imagine that ancient humans living over 12,000 years ago It's hard to imagine that ancient humans living over 12,000 years ago would have possessed the knowledge or technology to build such elaborate structures, so could they have had help? Egypt isn't the only location where you'll find huge, impressive pyramids. Pre-Columbian South American cultures built pyramids on the other side of the world. Sumerians built pyramids, and even some Native American cultures had pyramid-like structures. Why and how did so many diverse cultures from different areas from the world find it necessary to build similar structures? We could come up with a handful of answers for this. Number 1. Pyramids are simply sturdy. They're also a universal design. Pyramids have a symbolic point skyward and a wide base on Earth and an apex in the heavens. It's not a great stretch of mind to understand why this might be important to various people throughout history. It would also not be surprising that multiple cultures would reach the same conclusion in isolation. Number 2. People traveled around the world in ancient times. Is it possible that ancient South Americans traveled to Egypt or vice versa and spread their ideas and culture? If true, this would rewrite the history of our world. And number 3. Aliens were involved. If beings from another world influenced the ancient Egyptians, certainly they wouldn't have stopped there. They may have contacted other civilizations at the same time, or later in history. Whatever the reason, the presence of ancient pyramids at different locations around our planet is certainly intriguing. After all, in less than a couple hundred years, we've gone from the horse buggy to the telegraph to airplanes, and we could break the sound barrier and advanced computers like the one you're looking at right now. It's important to understand that the abilities of the ancients, the world and the human culture is a lot older than we tend to think, and our ancestors were certainly capable of amazing feats. Perhaps some of these ways were lost over time. Or perhaps they had a little help from our alien friends. What do you think? Did the aliens build the pyramids? I want to get your thoughts below, and thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase Moon. We've got more information coming up soon. We'll see you again next time.